let's see, I've got a giraffe, a llama slash alpaca type thing. I got a tiger, I got a wolf, I got a horse, and I got an elephant. I got an owl back there, and I got a bunch of rabbits and a hedgehog. Also a tiger, and a dragon, and superheroes. And Stitch. It's like list off random animals I can see behind me. Okay, so recently I took a trip to a place here in Lincoln that is called Moral Hall, or it's also referred to as Mammoth Hall, because out in front of it is this giant freaking life-size bronze type statue of a mammoth. And this is a museum that has been around for a very long time. I think it's over 100 years old, possibly. I don't remember exactly on dates. But the museum itself is part of the University of Nebraska, and it's not very far from where I live here in Lincoln. And it's a museum that I've been going to for a very long time. I've been there, like, a lot of the times when I was a kid, my parents would take me there. Now that I have nieces and nephews, and we take them there at times. My most recent trip was the first time that I'd been in a couple of years. And I took my nieces and my nephew and my oldest niece's boyfriend with us to the museum. And we had a lot of fun. They actually have like a new exhibit in the building that I hadn't seen before. And at the moment, I am doing several videos where I go through and talk about some of like the real life versions of some of the different Zoan type devil fruits. So this one is, of course, real life Zoan. So this is real animals, as in animals that are still around today type Zoans, as is represented by these real ones here that are stuffed or plastic or ceramic, and a blue llama. And I'm going to do a series of videos. I am going to have a video where I talk about the actual full-on trip itself and go through some stuff that wouldn't be in the other videos, because they're either animals that are not Zoan Devil Fruits in one piece, either ancient or regular, or just other things in it that are not part of that. And in case you're wondering, the reason that we have a giant mammoth in front of our museum is because the mammoth is the state fossil of Nebraska, and the largest mammoth fossil, I believe, ever found, or at the very least ever found in Nebraska, I don't know if it's ever found, period, I'm not sure, is referred to as Archie, and it is this giant frickin' mammoth, and it's inside the museum, and he's like the, he's kind of like the ambassador for the museum. He's the mascot for the museum. But I'll go a little bit more into detail on him in a different video. And a little bit more, because I'm going to do one that's, obviously this one is about real life Zoans, and then I'm going to do one about the artificial Zoans as well. And then I'm going to do one about the ancient Zoans. I already had a video where I kind of talked a lot about some of the mythical Zoans and such like that, but that was a while ago. That was where I talked about Lorenzen Gardens in Omaha, and how they had this big exhibit full of like lots of beautiful artwork that was different types of mythological creatures. That was a really fun video to do, actually. So I'm just basically going to go through the list of quick run through the list of the animal Zoans. Of course, animal Zoans is like a, oxymoron, because Zoans are animals, but these are real animals, as in they're animals that exist today in our world. As opposed to the ancient Zoans or the mythical Zoans that are, of course, in one piece. And I'm just going to do real quick, go through them and just kind of give you my brief take on them, and just my brief take on, like, I like this or I don't like this, and whether or not I've seen this animal in real life. So first up, we of course have the Ushi Nomi model bison, or the ox fruit model bison. And that is, of course, used by Dalton, current king of, the Sakura Kingdom, Drum Island. And, he's the first Zoan that we meet in the story. He, of course, can turn into either a full-on bison or a bison-human hybrid. And because, of course, this is Nebraska, I've seen bison all over the place. I don't think I've ever petted one, but we have a wildlife park not too far from Lincoln that is called the Wildlife Zoofari. And you drive through, and it's full of lots of local animals, as in like native wildlife to Nebraska. And one of the things that is there is they have like a herd of buffalo, and you drive through, and like you drive through like through the buffalo, and they have free roam. I've had ones where they come really close to the car and like look at the car, and as long as you don't make them angry or anything like that, you're fine. So yeah, we like Dalton throughout the course of the Drum Island arc, and then of course, he's a little more recent in the Reverie arc. I think him and the Sakura King will probably end up being like allies to the Straw Hats later on. But I like Bisons anyway, so they're just kind of fun in general. They did have, there are a couple of bison. I think there's at least one taxidermy bison in the museum. But I don't remember if I took a picture of it or not. And of course we have the Hito Nomi, model human, human fruit, which is of course, was of course eaten by Tony Chopper. I surprisingly do not have any stuffed reindeer, I don't think. Well, I do, but they're buried in the Christmas decorations, and I didn't need to dig them out for a video. But of course, so we have Chopper, who of course turns into a human, and he of course has his regular form, which is just his, full-on reindeer form. Then of course he has his hybrid form, which is his little, kind of brain point is what it's referred to as. And then of course there's his, full-on more human form, which looks a little bit more like a Yeti than anything. But, he's Chopper, he's a giant reindeer, and he's adorable. And of course he's, has the ability, because of his rumble balls, to like manipulate how he changes and stuff like that. And we know that Black Maria has also implemented that same idea, which I mean makes sense. And Chopper is adorable, of course. He's a member of the Straw Hats. He's of course the doctor of the Straw Hats. And he's just the concept of like human, of like an animal turning into a human, anthropomorphizing stuff is, just really fun and adorable. Next up, we have several Zoans that are actually introduced in Alabasta. So we have the Tori Nomi model Falcon, or the Bird Fruit model Falcon, which is of course used by Pell the Falcon, of course, who is one of the Alabastan guards, one of Vivi's guards. It has been like one of her friends for a very long time, and Pell bomb, not going to go near that because whatever. And Pell of course is he uses it as a way of like, he can just like easily fly around the kingdom and everything like that. And then the other way that he uses it is of course when he goes into his hybrid form, which is rather interesting looking, and it's like he's got wings and he's got like a giant beak and he can attack and everything. And the rule that I just have slight issue with when it comes to the Zoans is that, like, if you're a human and you eat a Zoan type devil fruit, that whenever you change into the full-on version of the animal, even if that animal is smaller than you, it's still like a you-sized animal. It's like if it's bigger than you, that makes sense. It's like, it's like a reindeer and a human are a bit of an odd size difference. So a little bit odd there. But like, Dalton, when he turns into his bison form, it's, as big as a bison, like an actual bison. Same thing with like, later on, like Lucci, when he turns into his full-on leopard form, or Kaku into his giraffe form. Again, a little bit later in the video, I'll do a little bit more on those. But with, a falcon is generally smaller than an average human. Therefore, you would think that when you turn into the falcon, you would be a lot smaller. But then you can't have, Vivi riding around on the back of a falcon. So Oda just did it. It was just like, oh, you're the same size. It's just, it's like a giant human-sized falcon. Okay, whatever. Pell's fun. And then, of course, we have the Inu Nomi model Dachshund, or the Dog Fruit model Dachshund, which is, of course, eaten by a bazooka called Lasso, who is, of course, the pet of Mr. Four from Baroque Works, of course. And we don't know exactly how that works because there are several, inanimate objects on this list that have eaten a devil fruit, and we don't know exactly how that works at this point in time. It was a process developed by Vegapunk. Beyond that, we don't know. So we'll see what happens there. Don't know. But there's of course the whole thing of, Lasso is a gun bazooka thing that ate a devil fruit and now it can shift between bazooka and dog hybrid, and I'm assuming can go like full dog if it wants to. Whatever. Dachshunds are cute. I had a dachshund at one point when I was a kid. His name was Babe. He was my sister's dog, and we think that he got stolen out of our backyard when at some point when we let him into the backyard. And then, of course, the next one up, the other half of the Mr. Four and Mrs. Merry Christmas, is, of course, Giraffe, I think is her name, Miss Merry Christmas. And she, of course, has the Mogu Nomi, the mole fruit. So she basically turns into a human mole hybrid for the only times that we see her use her devil fruit. I don't think we ever see her go full-on mole. As far as I can remember, I don't think she ever does. But of course, she, uses her devil fruit to, dig around really, really quickly. And of course, her and, Mr. Four work really well in regards to the way that they do, like, their, batting team and everything like that, which is, fair enough in the way that they do things. So that's just kind of fun there. Moles are fine. I mean, they're blind for the most part, as far as I can remember. If I remember my basic anatomy for moles, they're usually blind. So I don't know if she goes full on mole, if she becomes blind or not. That I don't remember if that was ever explained in the series or in an SBS question. I don't know. But moles are kind of cute. I don't know if I've ever seen beyond like at the zoo. I don't think I've seen any moles in real life. I have seen falcons in real life because of course we have those at our local zoo. And of course, sometimes I just see them flying around, of course, so that's just kind of fun. Next up, we have the other dog fruit that's introduced in this, in the Alabasta arc, and that is the Nomi model jackal, or the dog fruit model jackal, which is, of course, used by Chaka, who is, of course, another member of the Alabastan Royal Guard. And I don't remember if in the series if we ever see him go like full on jackal, but we do see him in his hybrid form a couple of times during the battle in Alabasta, and then I think at some point we see him in his jackal form. I don't remember if he ever goes into the jackal form when they're at Reverie, or his hybrid form when they're at Reverie. But I like jackals. It's Egypt is of course what Alabasta is based on, and of course in Egyptian mythology, falcons and jackals are very important. Figures in Egyptian mythology. So that's just kind of fun. Also, I just kind of think jackals are just kind of interesting in and of themselves. Sometimes they get the bad reputations, but any animal, no matter what, can end up having a bad reputation, if, given the wrong type of media attention type of thing. Next up, I actually have an animal that's represented back here. I have a horse, plastic horse. And of course, the next one that we are introduced to in regards to Zoans is the Uma Nomi, the horse fruit, which is of course used by Pierre, who is a Gonfal's bird that turns into a horse, but likes to be in its Pegasus form a lot of the time. Okay, Pierre's kind of fun. I like how they oh my god, like when he comes first to Pierre's, it's like, oh, this majestic thing, and then it's like, oh god, no. But Pierre's fun. He's adorable. And I mean, there's so many different variations of horses in the world that they're, in our world in and of themselves, there's lots of different types of horses. So maybe there's a, horse fruit model, Clydesdale in the One Piece world, and just maybe Oda just hasn't figured out a use for it, or maybe that'll be someone that pops up later at some point in time. I mean, admittedly, Clydesdales are pretty dang strong in and of themselves, and just horses in and of themselves I've always thought are very amazing creatures, just with, as fast as they can run, as strong as they are, as beautiful and as graceful as they are as well, so those are just always fun. And Pierre is just he's a bird, but he's a horse, and he, shifts and everything, and he's like, I'm gonna be a Pegasus now. I'm like, hey, you do you. Hey, if you could be a Pegasus, be a Pegasus. And of course, Pierre and Gonfall, they're just like a really good team and everything throughout Skypiea. Maybe we'll see them again at some point. Probably not, but that'd be kind of fun if they do show up at some point. Next up, we have the Neko Nomi model Leopard, or of course the Cat Fruit model Leopard that is of course used by, CP9s / CP-0 at this point in time, Rob Lucci. They do have a taxidermied leopard at the museum, and they have like a whole section that is just kind of filled with like lots of different taxidermied animals. A lot of them are like from Africa and stuff like that, but there's like a few other ones. There's like a Siberian tiger, and there's like a whole bunch of African animals as well. Again, I'll go more into this, more in depth into this, or I have gone more in depth into this in the actual video where I'll talk more about the museum trip. Because I took Barry on the trip, and on the visit, and my nephew helped me take pictures of him, and so that was fun. And, so of course we meet Rob Lucci, of course, during, Water 7, and then we find out that he's this, agent, and, him and Khalifa and Kaku and everything. And, I've always liked leopards. I always think that they're really beautiful animals. I mean, most big cats, I think, are pretty beautiful animals. I think most cats are pretty animals, too. And then, of course, cats just sometimes derp. And then, of course, my dog sometimes acts like a cat. It's like I'm doing a video about animals and he's not in here. Oh, well. But, Rob Lucci is, of course, kind of gives us more of this, kind of a little bit more of this concept of like, those that have Zoan type powers are a little bit more fierce and a little bit more durable. We of course find out that later on we will find out like ancient Zoans are quite a bit more durable or have higher recovery rates, but that'll be more in the ancient Zoan video when I go into that. And then of course, he has his his more buffed up leopard, big hybrid form, and then his more slimmed down hybrid form, because he's like just trained so much. It would be interesting to see like to just give the different Zoan users, like give them, rumble balls and just kind of see what they could do with them, like see what Chopper could do with like developing rumble balls for these different characters. Admittedly, I mean, Rob Lucci is an enemy, but like, Pierre was an ally, same thing with Dalton, same thing with Chaka and Pell, they were allies. And, giving them, like the rumble balls that could help them with, maybe making themselves stronger or having a bit more variety in what they can do and helping them control that would be a very good way of like helping their allies and everything. So that would be kind of interesting if Chopper ever did that, but I don't think that's going to happen in the actual series, but maybe someone did that in a fanfic. I don't know. Although coming up with different forms of like what they would turn into would be kind of interesting because like, we know that Black Maria did similar things to herself. But, so, and Rob Lucci, of course, explains when it comes to like the carnivorous zones, as in, I'm assuming like he means like the big cat zones, like him being a leopard, and, there's several other, probably other big cat zones out there. There's probably like a tiger zone out there and like a lion zone. We just, haven't seen them yet because either they're just not prevalent. We've seen like, we have, the artificial zones with like Hold'em, but like that's different. But so it's like, we'll see if those ever come into play. And then, he also applies to, probably like the wolf type zones, like what we'll have with, Jabra in a minute. But first, the other zone that we meet is, of course, the Zozo Nomi, the elephant fruit, which is, of course, eaten by Funkfree. That is a sword that belongs to Spondum and shifts into, is basically now a sentient sword that shifts between elephant and sword hybrid and then sword. Funkfree is adorable. Maybe we'll see him again. I thought it would have been hilarious if like he turned back into a sword and like Frankie grabbed him at the end of like at the end of the impel, or not impel down, at the end of the Ennis lobby arc, if like Frankie had grabbed the sword and been like, "You're coming with me now." Frankie, I get to have an elephant sword. That would have been funny and awesome. And I'm like, as long as you like feed Funkfree, I think he'd be fine. Like, take good care of him. Although, admittedly, it did seem like Spondum at least took good care of him, but we don't know exactly. But Funkfree is just you know, he's a sword that turns into an elephant, which when I explained that to my mom, she looked at me like, what the heck does that mean? And I'm like, I don't know. They haven't explained it in the series. We just know that there are different objects that turn into animals. Like a gun that turns into a dog, and a cannon that turns into a llama, and a teapot that's a tanuki, and I'll be going through those ones as well. But Feng Freed's just adorable. And then, of course, we have the Nomi model Wolf, or the Dog Fruit model Wolf, that is, of course, used by Jabra of CP9. We have no idea if he's part of CPI just zeros at this point in time. We don't know. But his hybrid form does tend to resemble a werewolf, and I do not remember if we ever see him go full-on wolf at all. Maybe he shifts at some point into his full-on wolf form, but for the most part, he seems to fight in his hybrid form, from what we've seen. You know, he's got really good senses of smell and everything like that. And like, you know, him and Lucci, of course, have the rivalry of cat versus dog, which is just kind of funny, for various reasons. Jabra is just also kind of an idiot, but, you know, he's strong, and that's more what CP9 cares about. He's strong and he can take directions, at least. So, you know, we see that when it comes to Jabra. Wolves are awesome. My sister loves wolves. I really like wolves as well. Well, that's more of a husky than a wolf, I guess, but, you know, you get the idea. I don't know if I have any stuffed wolves around here. Although we do give Rinny a wolf cut. I walk in by our, the playground that's in our neighborhood that's right across, from a community center in our area where, like, kids go for, like, daycare during the day. And, like, whenever I walk Rainy by the park, you know, the kids sometimes are like, it's a white wolf. You know, they ask, is he a wolf? And they're adorable. Like, no, he's just a puppy. And it's like, and he would like you to pet him if that would be okay. You know, he loves getting pets from the small kids. He's actually really good with kids. You know, as far, well, let's put it this way. He doesn't usually do anything that, like, attacks small children. Next up, we have, of course, the last member of CP9 that has a Zoan type devil fruit. We have the Ushi Nomi model Giraffe, or the Ox fruit model Giraffe, which is, of course, eaten by Kaku. Giraffe over here. I really like giraffes. They're fun. There were no taxidermy giraffes at the zoo at the museum, but there was a taxidermied elephant. They have, they have two taxidermied elephants, and I don't remember if they're both African elephants or if one's African and one Asian. But they do have those at the museum. And of course, I've seen elephants in real life at our zoo. I've seen wolves in real life. I've seen giraffes in real life. I fed giraffes. They're very fun, and they have very weird tongues. And their heads look a lot bigger than you expect them to be when they're right in front of you. And so several of these animals I've seen in real life. I was like, yeah, I've seen leopards in real life. They have leopards at the Omaha Zoo. I've seen them. But of course, Kaku has a giraffe fruit, and he, of course, you know, he, of course, has fun fighting Zoro, and he's just learning how to use his devil fruit. And it's, you know, he's like, I just go full giraffe. And it's like, fear the power of the giraffe. It's just like, no, but I do like giraffes. They are fun animals. So it's just like you get fun, interest, you know, interactions there and everything like that. And, like, Kaku learns really quickly how to, like, use his, you know, Zoan form with his, you know, sword fighting skills, which is really good and really, really well done in regards to him. Showing his ingenuity. And, of course, they did have the, someone asked Oda, and I think in SBS, what would it look like if Khalifa ate the devil fruit? Like, they have, like, the sketch that Oda drew of, like, Khalifa with the giraffe fruit instead of her having the bubble fruit. They'd swap devil fruits, which is kind of funny. So we have that. Next up, we have the two snake devil fruits. We, of course, have the heavy Nomi model King Cobra, the snake fruit model King Cobra, which is, of course, eaten by Boa Marigold, one of the sisters of Boa Hancock. It was, you know, force fed to her by a world noble, of course, during the time frame when her and her sisters were slaves. And she, of course, can shift into this giant, like, King Cobra. with her hybrid form and everything. Slash, I don't remember if we ever see her go full on, just like completely snake, or if she tends to be in the hybrid form when she fights, from what I can remember, from the Amazon Lily arc, and then like just any other various times that we've seen her in her devil fruit form, in her hybrid form. Then, of course, the other one is, of course, the heavy Nomi model Anaconda, the snake fruit model Anaconda, which, of course, was eaten by Boa Sandersonia, who Sandersonia is actually my favorite out of the three Boa sisters. And, of course, just like her two sisters, with Boa, with Hancock, and her, love fruit, they were of course force fed them by the world nobles, which is just more horrible things the world nobles have done to not just them but their other slaves, along with a long list of other horrible things they've done, but that's not what this video is about. And of course, Sandersonia shapeshifts into her hybrid form quite a bit when she was, of course, fighting Luffy, and of course, her and Marigold have, of course, used their hockey when they fight, so they work very well on being able to like dodge Luffy or like attack him and affect him with their powers and everything. And they have quite a large, they've had a lot of time to like practice with their devil fruits, so I like how they have shown that in regards to theirs. I believe at our zoo, I believe I have seen a king cobra in real life, but I cannot remember if I've seen an anaconda at the zoo, or if they have one. That may have been one that just maybe doesn't do as well in like captivity, because there's some animals like great white sharks. You can't keep a great white shark in captivity. They need far too much room to like roam around in regards to like their territory or so. So it's like there's some. And there's some that you can't keep in captivity, and I do not know if anacondas are like one of those animals, or just the Omaha Zoo just doesn't have one. I know the Children's Zoo doesn't. Let's see here, and then of course we have. Before I go on from that, recently we had baby. I think our Lincoln Children's Zoo had a baby giraffe born recently, and then in Omaha we had 2 baby elephants born recently. And I've seen video of them, and they are adorable. And hopefully the next time I go to the zoo, I will get to see them. Also, one other elephant story I have from the zoo. The last time I was at the zoo had been like the first time that I'd been there since they'd done a bunch of remodeling at the Omaha Zoo, and like they had this whole new area where they put the elephants. Since they actually have like more of a herd of elephants, this is why there's baby elephants now, of course. And we went there. And we were inside the inside area for the elephants, and there was, I don't know if it was the bull elephant or if it was just one of the other elephants that was in there, but like, I was in there with the person I was there with, who will not be mentioned, and we were just there watching the elephant, and then this other family came in, and they were being rather loud, and the elephant literally picked up sand and threw it at him. I was like, "You're being loud, shut up." That was funny. And I'm just like off to the side, like, okay. I'm being quiet. Please don't throw sand at me, Mr. Elephant. And of course, moving on, we have we have a section that are, of course, the demon jailer guards, the beast jailers that are in Impelled Down, that we do not know the exact names of their devil fruits, but probably some of them can be determined. We have Minotaurus, Minnow Koala, Minnow Rhinoceros, Minnow Zebra, and Minnow Chinchilla? I don't know. Of course, Minotauros obviously has like some form of a minotaur. Well, he has like another bull type devil fruits, or probably like the Nomi model bull or something like that. Probably, and all of these are awakened Zoans, so they're just kind of high endurance, but they're much more like focused on like the animal instincts part of their brain. Of course, they all worked for Sadie, if I remember correctly. And then of course the Minnow Koala would of course basically be like a koala devil fruit, which I would guess it would be like a subset of like whatever the marsupials devil fruits would be. Like that's where like the koalas and the kangaroos and some of the other marsupials would be. Since I don't think we've seen any other marsupial-based devil fruits as far as I'm aware, but those would be kind of fun to have. And then, of course, we have the Minnow Rhinoceros, who is, of course, a giant rhinoceros. I have seen rhinoceroses in real life. I've also seen, have I seen bulls in real life? Well, I've been to a rodeo, so I've seen bulls in real life. I've seen koalas in real life. They have them at the Omaha Zoo. They have like a Madagascar area, and you can see the koalas, and they're adorable. And then, of course, rhinoceroses have seen in real life at the zoo. They had white rhinos there for a while. I don't remember if they still have them. Or if they now just have the regular rhinos or like black rhinos, since there's different variations of rhinos, of course. And then, of course, the Minnow zebra, who is probably just like the Nomi model zebra, since zebra and horses are kind of related. So that gives me hope that there's like a, I don't know, a Clydesdale version of the horse devil fruit out there, and we just haven't seen it yet, along with like a mythical version of like this of like the Pegasus type devil fruit. That would be fun too. And then, of course, even though it's not introduced until quite a bit later, like after the time skip and everything, there is, of course, the Minnow Chihana? I don't know. It was introduced in like the cover page stories and such, and it's kind of adorable looking, and you know, they're cute. So again, probably just like the whatever the variation of that devil fruit is. And then, of course, we get into a couple of other ones where we don't know the exact name of the devil fruit. We have Onigumo, who is, of course, a member of the Marines. I do not remember his exact rank, but he's rather high up ranking, and he has a spider-type devil fruit. Similar to what Black Maria has, but his is, we don't know the exact spider that he has. It could be a Black Widow, it could be some other type of a devil spider, but we don't know exactly. And he, of course, uses it to have like an 8 sword fighting style, which is like, okay, that's smart for the way that he shifts and everything. And his is probably just like the, I think it's, well, no, because spiders aren't insects. Spiders are invertebrates, if I remember correctly. So there's like a difference there in regards to like what that would be called. But he has that. And then we go into Dalmatian, which is probably just, in all honesty, the Nomi model Dalmatian, or the dog fruit model Dalmatian, but we have not gotten that exact confirmation. He is just another member of the Marines, and he just looks like a Dalmatian. I believe I've petted a Dalmatian in real life. I don't like spiders in regards to Onigumo. I do not like spiders. I don't like them. I have arachnophobia. So yeah, no. I cannot even watch the scene in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets where they go into the forest and talk to Aragog. I can listen to the scene, but I cannot watch the scene because it's like giant spiders and then they're chased, and it's just like, oh god, no. No. Moving on to an animal that I actually like, we have Epona, who is he's a Whitebeard ally. I think he had once been on the Whitebeard crew, but now he's just like one of the allies and has like his own crew. And he, of course, has a kind of an insect fruit model caterpillar. We don't know exactly, because okay, so I am going to talk about this fruit as well, but there's also the egg fruit that is that Baron Tamago has. And if his fruit allows him to like shift depending on stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if like Epona's would also allow him to do that, because it would be like caterpillar into like a cocoon into like a butterfly. But we don't ever see that. We haven't seen a lot of Epona at the moment. So we don't know exactly what else, but he can turn into a caterpillar. That's the gist of what we get when it comes to him. And then the next one up is, of course, I've seen tons of caterpillars in real life. They're both at the Omaha Zoo and at the Lincoln Zoo. They have butterfly houses that are really fun to walk through, and you get butterflies that will land on you. And I've also been to other butterfly houses as well. And then, of course, we have the Kami Nomi, the turtle fruit, which was, of course, eaten by Peckhams. And it allows him to turn into a turtle, and it really gives him really high, like, defensive stats when it comes to, like, he says his, like, shell is, like, diamond-type shell. I guess as hard as diamond, which is like, hey, good for you. And he, of course, has that. He's, of course, a member of the Big Mom Pirates, and we do not know currently whether or not he is alive, unfortunately, given the end of how Totland went. We do not know if he is alive. I kind of hope Peckhams is alive. Maybe we'll see him again. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But, you know, Peckhams, he's like, I'm a lion that can turn into a turtle, which is just funny. He's like, I'm a lion that can turn into a turtle. Okay. Which is just like adorable. I like turtles. Turtles are fun. I've, you know, seen a lot of turtles in my life. One of my coworkers, like, him and his wife, like, breed turtles, and then sell them. And I keep debating about if I want one, and my general answer is no, because I don't need a turtle. Next up, we of course have the Tama Nomi, the egg fruit, which of course was eaten by Tamago, who is a member of the, you know, he's a member of the long-legged tribe, but he is also a member of the Big Mom Pirates, of course. Him and Peckhams are kind of like partners at one point. And his devil fruit is very interesting because his allows him to like go through these different variations of like forms of a chicken and forms of an egg, which is just very odd because it's like he's an egg and then he gets like chopped in half and then he like turns into a more of a chicken and then, you know, further down the line with other chicken forms, and it's very odd and I don't understand it, and I'm just like, okay, sure, I can go with that. Yeah. I like scrambled eggs. I don't know. Although, like, seeing Saji fighting Bear Tamago would have been kind of interesting because he's just like, I'm gonna scramble you. That would have been funny. That seems more like a 4Kids dub line that they would have done, but it still would have been funny. Let's see. Then we, of course, have the Sara Nomi model axolotl, or the Sala fruit model axolotl, which is, of course, the salamander-type devil fruit. That was, of course, eaten by Smiley, who is, of course, the giant sentient cloud of noxious gas that Caesar Clown created and then fed a devil fruit to somehow. I mean, he was Vegapunk's assistant. He probably knows the process for feeding a devil fruit to something, to an inanimate object. And I guess by inanimate object, that also has translated into giant cloud of poisonous gas. And such. But Smiley's kind of cute. And, you know, he does die, unfortunately, and we get to see his devil fruit. But, you know, Smiley's adorable. I felt kind of bad for Smiley because it's just basically like, here, I'm going to give you this giant candy, and then you're basically going to, you know, explode. Just like, oh, God, poor Smiley. I don't know if I've seen an actual axolotl type salamander in real life. I've seen salamanders like at the zoo, but I don't know if I've seen like an actual axolotl one. But they're adorable, and I want a stuffed one, like a big stuffed one for me to have, because they just look so adorable, and I'm going to be looking into getting one of those at some point. Got a couple more devil fruits, and then we're all finished with this list. So the next one is the Mushi Nomi model. Kabuto Mushi, or the bug fruit model Rhinoceros Beetle, which of course was eaten by Kabu, who is of course a member of the Tontata tribe. He's a dwarf. And he is like kind of one of Leo's best friends, second in command type of a thing. And the thing that I like about both of the devil fruits that we see, that are the insect type devil fruits that we see that the dwarves have, is that, I mean, like, they're already really small creatures in regards to that they're dwarves, so them having like an insect type devil fruit makes a lot of sense. So they can be really small when they transform. Really small and fly really fast. And of course, insects in and of themselves are always, you know, quite a bit physically stronger than you know, in regards to like their body proportions and stuff like that, their body size, you know, it's like with ants, it's, you know, it's like, oh, they could carry something like 10 times their own weight or something like that, or whatever the equivalency is. And I would assume that like rhinoceros beetles are sometimes along that same lines, or they can get, you know, where they can be very strong, and then, you know, add on to that like times like the, I guess like the strength of like a tontata in and of itself, you know, then you make that stronger and everything. So that would be kind of interesting. And of course, Kabu was just kind of fun, and he's adorable. And then the other one that we have that is the Tontata, which is the Mushi Mushi no Mi model Suzume Bachi, or the Bug Fruit model Hornet, which is eaten by Bine. I have a Pokemon that is named Bine that is a Rabombi that is pink, and I named it specifically after Vine because she's adorable and she's sassy and I love her. And she's pink. And the shiny Rabombis are pink. Just like, I don't really care that much for like Hornets or anything like that, but you know, it's like, she's fun. She's fun. I'd hang around her. Next up, we have the Tori Nomi model Albatross, or the bird fruit model Albatross, which is of course was eaten by Big News Morgans. And you know, he basically, most of the time, pretty much the entire time that we see him, he is literally just like this giant human bird albatross hybrid. Now, albatrosses can get rather large in real life. But they're not that large, so I'm assuming Morgan's is also just like a rather tall human, because I don't remember if we ever get like his exact height, but like he's quite a bit, you know, he's taller than Stussy, and she's like a average human, so don't know exactly how tall Morgan's is supposed to be off the top of my head. But albatrosses are, you know, very large birds. They can fly extremely long distances. They're rather very long-lived. And they're just, you know, they're just kind of fascinating birds. And, you know, we'll see if we see Morgan again. Somehow his devil fruit also allows him to, or excuse me, we'll see if we see Morgan's again. Considering that his devil fruit also allows him to, like, I guess, telepathically control the news coups that he uses to, like, deliver the news, but then also to, like, fly his, like, teapot-shaped news headquarters. So I'm assuming we'll see Morgan's again, but just don't know when. Next up, for the canon zones that we've seen in regards to the regular zones, not including the ancient zones or mythological zones. The last one for canon, and then I have like 3 non-canon ones, is the Ino Nomi model Tanuki, or the Dog Fruit model Tanuki. Because, of course, there's the running gag in all of One Piece that whenever people see Chopper, there's like, oh, he's a Tanuki when he's in his, you know, hybrid form. It's like, I'm not a Tanuki, I'm a reindeer. And, of course, he punches out Queen, which we'll be seeing very soon in the anime, if I remember correctly. And, of course, it's a devil fruit that was eaten by a teapot that is owned by Tenguyama Hitetsu, and it is named Bunbuku, if I remember correctly. And it's just adorable, and it's off to the side, and it doesn't really have any pretense on the story, but it's just like, yeah, there's a Tanuki devil fruit, and it was eaten by a teapot. Which is also like, okay, so somehow he fed a devil fruit to a teapot. But Tenguyama Hitetsu is not a scientist, so how did he do that? He's not like a Vegapunk or Caesar Clown level scientist, so how did he feed it to a teapot? I don't know, maybe he just like tried something and it was just like, I don't know. Maybe the whole process is like, you take the teapot, you open the lid, you put the devil fruit down, like, so it's like part of it is like in the lid, and then you like close the lid, like it looks like it's taking a bite out of the devil fruit, and maybe that feeds it to, feeds, quote unquote, eats the devil fruit. I don't know, but it makes a sentient teapot. That is adorable. And then we have 3 more these are non-canon devil fruits, but they're still just fun. One of them is basically probably like the Neko Nomi model cheetah, or the cat fruit model cheetah that was eaten by a member of an anime only member of the Foxy Pirates. Oh god, Foxy. That is cheetah or something like that, and he like, you know, he races around and like he causes problems and stuff like that, and he turns into a, you know, cheetah hybrid, and he's really fast, blah blah blah. You know, not that hard to understand that concept. And I mean, like, I like cheetahs. There was a, you know, I've seen cheetahs in real life. There was a taxidermy cheetah at the museum, actually right next to the leopard, in the African animals area that they had. And then, of course, the next one is the Tori Nomi model eagle, or the bird fruit model eagle. That is from one of the One Piece movies. It's from the 11th movie, which I have never seen. And it is eaten by a dog named Buzz. And then Buzz like flies around with his eagle powers, and he has his full-on eagle form, and then he also has like his hybrid form that you see him in a couple of times in the movie. I don't know the whole premise of the movie, but for some reason I think it involves like someone stole Luffy's hat, and then the crew has to go get it back. I don't know exactly. I've never seen it. I don't know, but it's a dog that turns into an eagle. So it's the same type of concept of like, you know, Pierre that is a bird that turns into a horse. So, you know, it's like give non-flying animal flying ability, which is fun. And then finally, the last one we have is a character called Alpacacino, which is a alpaca that is actually a canon that ate a alpaca devil fruit that is used in the Z's Ambition arc in the anime by a guy named Shuzo. And it's an alpaca that's also a canon, which is just like, okay, sure. Of course. I don't know. There are certain things with One Piece and I'm just like, yeah, sure, yeah, that is exactly the way that is supposed to work. Not. It's like, it's a llama alpaca canon. Okay. I don't know. But it's just kind of, you know, the animals that are, you know, the devil fruits that are like eaten by inanimate objects are just always kind of funny. It's like, somehow this object ate this devil fruit and now it can turn into an animal. Okay. Because that makes any real logical sense at all. Not. Okay. So at the moment, that is the end of this video in regards to the devil fruits that are real life Zoans that have been around so far. I believe I have seen an alpaca in real life. I have seen eagles in real life because they have eagles at the zoo. And I think I have seen an alpaca in real life. I've at least seen llamas in real life. I got to pet them and they're very fluffy. But that's about what I have. So, I thank you very much for watching. I will still have a video where I talk about the ancient Zoan Devil Fruits a little bit more in regards to, you know, whether or not I've seen like taxidermied versions of these animals as opposed to like a real life version of the animal. And then I am going to do a video about the smiles, the gifters that all have different abilities. And just kind of go through and like kind of do a brief explanation of a bunch of the different gifters that are on Kaido's crew that have these different artificial Zoan Devil Fruits. So those will be kind of interesting as well. I may just, of course, end up doing a video at some point where I kind of just go through and talk about the different mythical type zones as well. But that might wait a little bit until we get some more images from the anime, because I'm going to wait a little bit to do the ancient Zoan Devil Fruits as well, because then I'll get like a few more pictures of like Black Maria and Sasaki and Who's Who in their you know, hybrid forms or full forms when we get to that in the anime. So I thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you know, and I, you know, comment on which one's your favorite, I guess. So I thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye. Well, there are many unique abilities and characteristics of Zoan types. Of the ability to strengthen your own physical abilities. The more you train, the more your power is amplified. For aggressive attacks, the Zoan type is the strongest.